The honored society, as the Mafia is commonly known among its members, is structured much like a modern corporation in the sense that duties and responsibilities are disseminated downward through a chain of command that is organized in pyramid fashion. Though they are referred to as family by their members, these groups are completely separate from the blood families of their members. The structure of La Cosa Nostra, the largest and most powerful gang in both the US and Italy, became mainstream in 1984 when a mafia informant told prosecutors how the pyramidal command structure of a typical clan works. Just as the king is the most important piece in chess, the boss in each family is the most important piece of the organization. All major decisions are made by the boss, and all the money made by the family ultimately flows to him. The boss's authority is needed to resolve disputes and keep everyone in line. The boss sets the rules all our members must comply with, or they risk severe penalties or even death. In the Mafia, the dirty work is done by the soldiers, the lowest ranking members of the family. In the past, a soldier had to be of pure Italian background, but in the last 30 years, this policy has changed. The Asian and Mexican organized crime gangs in America are gaining power and threatening businesses that the Italian Mafia used to monopolize, such as the distribution of drugs in the ghetto. Because of this imposed threat, many of the local soldiers in the ghetto are now black or Mexican. However, in accordance with their founding principles, these soldiers are not trusted beyond their duties because they are not members of the Mafia family bound by the Code of Silence and therefore are risky allies. In Michael Santo's book Inside, Life Behind Bars in America, he uses the term made man to describe his fellow inmate Big Paulie, who has connections with the New York Mafia. The process that a candidate must undergo to become a made man reveals the most important values of the Italian Mafia: tradition, family, and loyalty. In order to become a made man, the candidate must receive approval from the commission, composed of the bosses of the 5 most powerful mafia clans in America. After receiving approval, the candidate must participate in a 100-year-old ritual in which his fingers are cut, causing blood to drip to the floor. Then, the boss, who leads this initiation, tells him, "You are being born again into a new life, into Cosa Nostra. If you violate the principles of this life or betray your brothers, then you are going to die and burn in hell." After becoming a made man, a man must make his family his number one priority, even over his blood-related family. The defining element of the Mafia is perhaps best explained by the popular Italian slogan, Sempre Familia. This roughly translates to, once you're in the family, you're always in the family. As previously mentioned, Cosa Nostra is one of the most prominent mafia associations in both the United States and in Italy. Because the American Cosa Nostra originally stemmed from its Sicilian counterpart, they have many structural similarities. For example, both mafia associations operate on the same formal hierarchy of family system. In terms of social patterns, however, they have little in common. These differences can be attributed to the significance of place theory. The American Mafia came to power in the 1920s Prohibition era through their success in bootlegging liquor. This scheme could not profit the Italian mob because the sale of alcohol was never banned in Italy. Another difference can be attributed to a difference in American and Italian gambling statutes. During the 1920s, the American Cosa Nostra operated luxurious illegal casinos throughout the United States, bribing local police officers to look the other way. After gambling was legalized in 1931, the Mafia resorted to extorting casino managers to generate profits. In Italy, the lotteries are state-run, and gambling and betting are legal activities. Therefore, there was no large-scale legal market for the Italian Mafia to take advantage of. Aside from the differences resulting from their contrasting government systems, values also played a key role in the varying operations of these 2 entities. In Italy, the mobsters chose to abide by their traditional value system that placed the acquisition of respect above the mere accumulation of wealth, whereas the American mobsters were solely focused on making money, disregarding ethics of any kind. The code of silence is maintained in many brotherhoods, such as street gangs, prison guard gangs, and sports teams. The American Mafia was able to maintain its secrecy and success in the early 20th century because of their commitment to the code of silence, as well as their ability to bribe and intimidate public officials, business leaders, witnesses, and juries. In the latter part of the centuries, mobsters broke this once sacred code of silence in exchange for reduced sentences or a place in the federal witness protection program. In Santo's book, we see how seriously other mafia members take the breaching of these codes. After an inmate with mafia connections is exposed for snitching, he begs to be placed into the witness protection program before other mafia members have the opportunity, as Santos puts it, to serve him street justice. Santo's book also reveals the culture of the mafia within penitentiaries. Through Santo's accounts of Big Paulie and Frankie, it is evident that mafia members are highly respected in prison and are regarded as the top of the criminal food chain by many. To illustrate this, Santos describes Big Paulie's aura by writing, "Paulie lives as an ambassador of the penitentiary, a celebrity whose influence extends not only to the streets of Brooklyn, but from cell block to cell block across the country." Other inmates who do not have the privilege of having reputations that precede them to the penitentiary must work hard to earn the respect that is key to survival in the correctional system. To have the respect of both inmates and guards is quite a feat. This can be loosely associated with America's fascination with the mafia. According to Santos, mafia members work the system by capitalizing on this fascination through cultivating an image and pursuing a following and the status that comes with being connected. The hundreds of books and dozens of movies that depict the Italian Mafia have been so successful that they have profoundly shaped a general understanding of the Mafia in the United States. The Godfather, originally a novel and later a movie series, was a sensationalized fictional account of the Mafia that reinforced already existing perceptions and myths about organized crime and Italian Americans. More than any other media event, The Godfather created the American perception of organized crime that persists to this day. The movie left viewers with the idea that mafia figures were men of honor, misunderstood by a hypocritical mainstream society, corrupt politicians, and public officials. In 1970, the RICO law, standing for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations, was passed. This enabled prosecutors to take all the crimes dating back many years and combine them into a single case. According to Duke University's School of Law professor Samuel Buell, it is easier for them to convict mob defendants when they wrap in evidence of the broader context in which the crime was committed, along with the pattern of conduct that led up to the crime. The RICO law allowed for the largest FBI mob bust in history, which occurred in late 2010. The arrest charged 110 mafia members in 3 U.S. states and Italy, with 127 counts of murder and racketeering. These charges were based on crimes that took place 30 years ago in a different era for organized crime. The instatement of the RICO law proved to be a successful form of deterrence. After the government had sent many high-ranking mob leaders to prison, a life of crime was no longer as attractive. A considerable number of people from Cosa Nostra families chose to attend universities and pursue lawful careers. A greater number of crime family recruits came from uneducated kids who had neither leadership skills nor the loyalty of past members. The face of organized crime began to significantly change. New criminal gangs of Black Americans, Hispanics, Asians, Chinese, Russians, and South Americans competed with the traditional American mafia. Motorcycle or biker gangs became a major rival of the mob.